am Alexander B. Stevens. This is the brand new up-and-coming podcast entitled, What Is He Thinking? The sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes politically incorrect, but always sincere and truthful podcast for the benefit of women from the perspective of men. You've got questions? I've got answers. Let's go back in time, back to elementary school. Remember, when you were on that Little League basketball team for the first time, you were playing Little League soccer for the first time, when you were on that dance team for the first time, you didn't know exactly where you fit in. You didn't know exactly what you were doing. You were on the bench. You weren't playing. You weren't the star of the recital. What did you do? Did you cry and give up? Did you quit the team? Or did you put in that extra work behind the scene? Did you practice and practice? Did you talk to your coach, talk to your parent, talk to your older sibling, soak in all the advice you could get so that you could get better, master your craft, and become that starting point guard on the Little League basketball team? Become the number one attraction at the dance recital. Become that A1 goalie on the soccer team. What did you do? Did you work to get what you wanted? Did you work to shine, or did you quit? Let's fast forward to middle school. You were unfamiliar with how to operate that instrument. You didn't know what you were going to do in the band. You didn't know if you'd make the cheerleading squad. You didn't know if you'd make drill team. But you put forth your best effort anyway. You practiced. You got coaching. You spent in extra time. You're grinding behind the scenes when people didn't realize it. And you got better. And you made that cheerleading squad. You made the drill team. You became a major on the dance team. You made first chair flute, clarinet, French horn, or whatever instrument in the band you decide to play. You put in the work. You moved up the ladder. You achieved your goal. Fast forward a little bit more. It's junior year of high school. Everybody's preparing and talking about college and where they want to go and what they might want to do when they grow up. Did you sit back and let the chips fall where they may? Or did you kind of hit the books a little bit harder? Did you volunteer for that extracurricular activity? Did you join that extra organization? Did you start doing things to try to make your resume look better for potential colleges that you might send an application to? Did you take the ACT? Not only did you take them, but did you take the study classes before you took them? You put that extra time in to make sure you got the best grade possible so that you'd have the best chance at getting to the university that you wanted to get into. You put the work in, you prepared, and you achieved your goal. Come graduation, you're at the University of Southern California. You're at the University of Texas. You're at Michigan. You're at Penn State. You're at FSU. You're at the college that you wanted to go to. Why? Because it just happened? No. Because you prepared, you put in the work, you did the extra work, and you made it happen. That's how it happened. Am I telling anybody's story? Have I told your story yet? Does any of this sound familiar? If not, keep listening. So you're finishing up with college. You're ready to enter the real world. You're ready for that real job, to make real money, so you can do real things as a real adult. Did you just graduate and just get on careerbuilder.com and hope things work out for you? Or did you put that work in at the end of college to make sure you really understood the material and you weren't just trying to get a degree by any means necessary? Did you take that summer before graduation or 2 summers before graduation and take that internship, volunteer at that firm, volunteer at that organization, and work for free so you get that exposure and experience in the field that you knew you wanted to work in as an adult? After you graduated, were you networking, talking to people? Were you going to different job sites, Indeed, Career Builder, Monster? Were you on 5 different sites sending out applications? Were you talking to all your friends and all your friends' parents and all your friends' parents, trying to get a leg up, trying to get that job? Did you network while you were interning? Did you talk to those companies? Were you really busting and grinding to try to get into the industry you wanted to get into? Or did you just sit back and let things happen? Let the chips fall where they may? Did you wait for a job to knock on your door? No, you didn't. You prepared, you put the work in, you grinded, you made it happen. Am I telling your story yet? Does any of this sound familiar? If not, keep listening. So you're at your company, you're tired of this entry-level work, you're tired of this entry-level money. You see other people that you work harder than, you see other people that you are smarter than, moving up the ladder and making more money while you sit on your thumb looking stupid. Or do you? No, you don't do that. You put in those extra hours at the job. You go back to school and maybe get that secondary degree. You get that master's, you get that PhD.
You talk to your work husband. You talk to your work mom.
You get mentorship. You talk to bosses. You grind. You put in the work. You try for the promotion. If they don't want to give you a promotion, somebody's going to see your value. You maybe go to another company where they end up giving you a promotion and higher pay. You're moving up the ladder. You're in this industry. You're working it. You're climbing because you're great. You're making it happen because that's what you do. You're proactive. You're not going to be denied. You're not going to be passed over because you're a woman or because you're young or because you weren't born with a lack of pigment or whatever you think might be holding you down. You don't let it hold you down. You put the work in, you grind, you maneuver, you proactively figure it out, and you make it happen because you are you, and you're not going to let anybody hold you down. You're not going to let anyone get in between you and what you want. That's what you're all about. That's the type of woman you are, right? Am I talking to anybody? Am I talking about you? Am I talking about anybody you might know? If you think that I am talking about somebody you might see in the mirror every morning when you brush your teeth, if I am talking about somebody you know, then I just have one question. Why don't you work for love like you do and like you have done for everything else? Work for love like you do everything else. Am I saying you need to chase after men? No, I'm not necessarily saying that, but I am saying everything else in your life you proactively prepare for, position yourself for, you put in extra time and extra work for, everything else in your life except for the most important thing, many would say, and that is who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, who is going to be the father of your kids. Isn't this kind of a little bit more important than if you make $70,000 or $73,000 at the job? Everything else in your life you work for, you prepare for, you grind for, you overcome for, everything else but your love life. Your love life, hey, you're just supposed to sit back, right? Just live your life, do nothing special, and it's just supposed to happen, right? Everything's just supposed to fall in place, right? You're just supposed to be reaching for an apple at the grocery store, and your Boaz is supposed to also reach for that same apple, and y'all touch each other's hands and lock eyes and live happily ever after, right? You didn't have to do anything out of the ordinary. You didn't have to grind, work, prepare, put in extra effort. No. You were just doing you. You were just being regular, and it just so happened to happen, right? What makes you think that everything in your life, absolutely everything in your life, you have to work for, you have to change your life around for, you have to prepare for, you have to practice for, you have to strive for proactively? Why does that apply for everything in your life?
Except your love life. How does that make any sense?
So, I'm Alexander B. Stevens. This is the What Is He Thinking podcast. And the question I'm asking you today is, why don't you work for love like you do everything else?
Now, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsor, Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First off, it's free. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Third, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. Next, hey, you can even make money from your podcast with minimal listenership. I mean, it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So this is what I want you to do. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Why don't you work for love like you do everything else? Now, when I say work for love, am I talking about you being the man and approaching men that you desire and doing the pursuing and doing all the heavy lifting. No, I'm not talking about that. But at the same time, sitting at home, being completely passive, or when you're out and about, not giving any concrete choosing signals is no good. Many women of today like to talk about how they are intelligent, ambitious, driven, go-getters. But then when it comes to their love life, all of a sudden it's 1950, it's 1850 all over again. The way they approach their love life just does not match up with the way they approach the rest of their life. But okay, let's pretend it's 1950 or 1920. The way that women imagine how those days were and how the men did all the approaching and how dating and relationships transpired isn't actually how it really happened. A lot of people met through friends and family and direct hookups back then. Furthermore, in the good old days, these women weren't doing nothing when it came to their love life. These women would intentionally drop a handkerchief or drop their book bag in the vicinity of a guy that they liked to let him know they were interested, and they would use it as a gauge to figure out if he was also interested in them. If you rushed to help pick up whatever she dropped and start a conversation,
then the ball is rolling in the direction of a connection.
To give the man that they liked the opportunity to show that he also was interested in her. If he was interested, he'd rush over, help pick up the handkerchief, help pick up her spilled purse, help pick up her books and papers from her school knapsack, and he would spark up a conversation. If he wasn't interested, he wouldn't help at all, or he would help in silence. So even women back in the day were proactive when it came to their love life. They chose who could potentially choose them. They presented opportunities. They put themselves in certain locations around certain people that they wanted to be approached by. There's a lot of women who aren't even really that religious, but they will go back to the Bible verse. In the 18th chapter of Proverbs, verse 22, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So they use that verse to give them a reason to do nothing, because the man is supposed to find me. He's supposed to search and look and find me. It's interesting that they pick that verse to hold dear to, but they don't really acknowledge Ephesians 5:22. But that's neither here nor there. My point is, that is one of the more misquoted, used out of context verses in the Bible. If you really want to study about a love story in the Bible, if you really want to know how God intended things to be, or at least a little tidbit on how people did it in the beginning stages of civilization, then the best story to go back to and to refer to is the Ruth Boaz story. If you examine that story, Boaz isn't going from town to town, searching under rocks and asking everybody or anybody that would listen if they could hook him up. That's not how that story goes. Basically, Ruth intentionally puts herself in position to be chose. Ruth isn't sitting around idly waiting to be found. She's put herself in the vicinity, in the area near men that she would want, and then she went to work. She was working. She demonstrated her worth, character, and value in the vicinity of Boaz. He noticed it, and the rest is history. That's what Ruth did to find her Boaz. She didn't wait for him to find her. She wasn't just living her life normally and stumbled upon Boaz. No, she was intentional in her actions, intentional in the location and places that she placed herself, and she was intentional in demonstrating her worth and value. She worked. She was proactive. So, if in the good old days women were proactive, women put themselves in position to be chose, women physically did things to allow a man an opportunity to spark up a conversation with them. If this was true in the Bible days, if this was true in the 1800s, if this was true in the early 1900s, then why in the 21st century do women think they don't have to do anything in order to find love? Why do women think love just appears on their doorstep? I blame Lifetime. I blame Hallmark. I blame TV and media for lying to women about how relationships actually start and how love actually is sparked. So, now we know, or you should know, that being passive in allowing your romantic life to happen to you isn't the best method to get the type of man that you want. Now that you know you need to be proactive, I guess you need tips on how to be proactive, how to put yourself in position to be found. Well, you have questions, I have answers. That's why they call me Alexander B. Anyway, let's go. Here are some tips on how to present yourself in a way to say that you're available, in a way to say that you're interested without looking desperate. First, has anyone ever said you have a RBF, a resting B face? If so, then you definitely want to do something about this. Many good-looking women look mad, mean, or miserable 75% of the time when a man looks at their face. This repels men. If anyone has ever said you have an RBF, you have to get rid of it. Train yourself to make your resting face position a slight smirk or even a wide-eyed optimistic look. Think of a good joke you recently heard. Think of something good that happened to you recently. Let that positivity just shower over your whole body before you enter a place of socialization so that you just have a natural glow about your face. Just a little smirk, just a smile. You're happy because you have positive thoughts. You'd be surprised how magnetic and effective getting rid of an RBF can be if you're one of these women who has one. 2, how do you present yourself in a way to say you're available without looking desperate? Well, you have to actually present yourself. In today's society where you can have your groceries delivered, your clothes delivered, packages delivered, food that's already cooked delivered, food that you need to cook yourself delivered. In a world where you can have new cars delivered, you don't necessarily have to leave home to work if your internet's fast enough and you work in a certain industry. In the world we live in today,
Here at the start of a brand new year, 2021,
being social, out and about, being out in public just isn't as necessary as it used to be. But this is a strong negative when it comes to presenting yourself and being out there so that a guy can choose you, so that you can be found. So think, how often are you out in public? How often are you being social, hanging out with your friends or hanging out with strangers in an environment that you love? Once a week, once a month, once a quarter? You have to get out to be found. The man of your dreams most likely is not going to be the Uber Eats driver. So if you don't leave your house, there's no possible way that you can meet the man of your dreams outside of completely being solely dependent on internet dating. Women who are never out in public unless they absolutely have to be or unless they're working. Women who, when they are in public, always have their head down. They're always walking fast. They're always on the phone. They're always looking busy when they're out and about. These are women who do not get approached. They either aren't around or they look like they don't want to be bothered. Now, I'm not telling you to become a bar-hopping, clubbing party girl, but I am saying you have to intentionally put yourself in environments that have the type of men you would like to approach you. And you also have to schedule in your life idle social time in these environments in order to put yourself in position to find love or for love to find you. So, show up early, float around and talk to people. Stay late, float around and talk to people after the party, after the event, after worship service, after the game night at your friend's house, after the Christmas party or whatever. People that arrive late and leave early decrease their chances of meeting somebody new that they could potentially fall in love with. People that don't schedule any idle time, any free time, any social time to just hang out and enjoy people of their own demographic or to enjoy people of the demographic that they want to be associated with. People that don't do that and stay single. I suggest that you put an end to takeout. You're done with Uber Eats. You're done with pizza delivery. You're done with the China delivery guy coming by your house. If you want a specific type of food, whether you're with friends or not, you go to the restaurant, sit at the bar and order it and eat it there. If you dress up and go to the bar alone to eat your dinner as opposed to having it delivered, you'll be surprised at the increase in men who approach you by you just being out and about and available to be approached. If you go to the grocery store as opposed to having it delivered, you just increase your chances of being approached. If you go shopping the old school way instead of online, you increase your chances as well. Of course, I understand being extra safe during these unprecedented times, but I'm speaking in general once we have things back to normal. Be out and about as much as you can in order to increase the chances of you meeting somebody or somebody being able to approach you. Not only be out and about, but be intentional, be intelligent with the locations and the spaces in which you're out and about in. If you like guys who are into baseball, then maybe you go to a sports bar during the big baseball game and eat your dinner alone at the bar. Then the chances of a baseball fan trying to spark up a conversation with you has been tripled, and now y'all have that in common. If you want a rich guy, go to the classy steakhouse in your city and just order the salad or something at the bar alone. You don't go to Chili's. You don't go to Applebee's if you're trying to snag a rich guy. If you're like an artsy guy, go to art galleries. Go to art-related meetups. Be intentional in the environments that you put yourself in so you can be approached by the type of person that you want to approach you. Lastly, instead of waiting on things to come to you, you could try to be the one to instigate the interaction. Okay, yeah, I know that women don't like to approach men or anything like that, but do the 21st century version of dropping your handkerchief. And when you're out and about, when you're out in public, when you're running your errands or whatever, if you find a man that you are interested in that looks good to you, drop something in front of him. Or just ask him a simple, innocent question that you might already know the answer to. All you're really trying to do here is give him an opportunity, give him a reason to talk to you. If he likes you, he'll take that little reason you gave him to open up the lines of communication, and he'll take that opening, he'll take this opportunity and try to turn it into something flirty or romantic if he likes you. And if he doesn't like you, he won't do anything. Or if he's super inexperienced with women, he won't do anything. But hey, no harm, no foul. You didn't really ask him out. You didn't really approach him at all in the first place. You just asked what time it was. You just asked what aisle is the milk on. You just dropped something in front of him, waited 10 seconds, then picked it up. Give yourself the best opportunity to be chose. Now, third, when you are out and about, when you are out in public mingling and socializing, don't be in a large group. Large groups of people, especially a large group of women, decreases the chance that anybody's going to try to approach you or talk to you. If you're in a big group of people, but that's both guys and girls, then a lot of men are going to assume that one of the guys in that group is your boyfriend, so they're not going to bother to go over there and talk to you. If you're in a large group of women, then a lot of men are just going to be intimidated by that, because it's hard enough for the average guy to cold approach a woman who's by herself, but to cold approach a group of women who all will be judging him, and to try to keep them all entertained for a moment, and then to try to steal the one that you actually like away from the group to get some one-on-one time with her. That's a skill that typically only players and womanizers have, and I don't necessarily think you want to get caught up with another one of those type of guys, now do you? So I suggest when you go out, if you're just grabbing a bite to eat, you can go ahead and do that solo. If not solo, with one friend only. And if you're going to like a bar or a party or whatnot, I suggest you just bring one friend. Don't come in a big group. Don't come in a clique. Just have one friend with you and watch what happens. Watch the increased number of men that try to put their bid in. Don't forget, you have to work for love like you do everything else. So not only do you have to be intentional about getting out the house and placing yourself in the environment that gives you the best chance of being chosen by the type of guy you want to be chosen by, you also have to put the work in on yourself to make sure you are the best you can be, so that you are more attractive to more guys and will get more offers to sift through. Work for love like you do everything else. Part of that work is working out. If you've listened to half of my previous podcasts before, you should already have the hint that having some stellar career or having 12 degrees, while that might make you feel good and might impress your girlfriends and your mother, doesn't really help you that much on the dating market. A guy would you rather spend 15 hours a week in the gym and just have a so-so average job than for you to spend 15 hours a week extra at your job because you're working so much and you have this high-powered career. Or for you to spend those 15 hours a week going back to school to get your 16th degree because you want to be a thermometer. No. You must make sure you're in the best shape that you can be in because you do have control over that. You have no control over your face structure or your height, but you have control over how in shape you are. Not only do you have control over how in shape you are, but you have control over your style and how you dress. So work for love like you do everything else. How does the old saying go? Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Well, dress for the man that you want, not for the singleness that you currently have. Men like feminine women. Men like women who put thought and energy into their appearance. Men like women who can look beautiful effortlessly, even though it might have taken a lot of effort behind the scenes. So work for love like you do everything else and make sure that your fashion is up to date. You're wearing clothing and patterns and styles that accentuate the best parts of your body while hiding or taking attention away from your flaws. Make sure you're just intentional with how you present yourself. Earlier I spoke of, not having an RBF and smiling a little bit more. So a smile on an unattractive body in outdated clothing doesn't help you much. So you got to make sure you're in shape or in the best shape that you can be in and that you're stylish. Lastly, and I briefly referred to this earlier, but you have to put yourself out there. You have to use as many avenues as possible in order to be chose or in order to be found. So use online dating. Use friends, social circle, extended family, church if you go to church. Use all of these different avenues to potentially find your mate or to have somebody be on the lookout for you to maybe try to hook you up. I wouldn't be speaking to you today if my mother's aunt had not identified my dad as a good candidate for her niece and kind of set it up. So use your friends, use your family, use church, online dating, go out by yourself, restaurants, parks, use everything to your disposal. You can't just live your life, float through life as if love is supposed to knock on your door or stumble into you. You actually have to set aside time and put forth effort in order to find love, in order to find Mr. Right. You do it for everything else. Everything else that's in your life that's worth a flip. You had to intentionally go after. You had to set aside time to work for, to prepare for, to study for, etc., until you got it. So why would it be any different for love? Why would it be any different? All right, that should just about wrap things up. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to what I have to say. And if you found any part of this episode helpful, thought-provoking, or intriguing, please share it with a friend. The more people I can help, the better I feel within. If you have any questions, any suggestions for new topics for me to discuss in the future, or if you need any clarification on anything I have spoken on, please just shoot me an email at whatishethinking@gmail.com. whatishethinking@gmail.com. Or you can send me a message via my Anchor website. All you need to do is go to anchor.fm/whatishethinking/message. anchor.fm/whatishethinking/message. Go there, leave me a couple words, and if it's constructive, I will definitely get back to you or keep your thoughts in mind when I record future podcasts. And never forget, I'm not here to tickle your ear. My only goal is to tell you what you need to know. I'm not here to offend. I just want to see you win with men. Well, until we meet again.